BamaCentral.com. I'm Joey Blackwell with Katie Windham, and this is Just a Minute. Katie, we've been a little bit down on both Alabama baseball and softball over these past few weeks, but the Crimson Tide was able to turn things around in both sports this weekend, with softball being able to pick up a 3-game sweep of Mississippi State on the road, and Alabama besting Auburn 2-1 over the weekend in what has become known as the Iron Bowl of baseball. But Katie, we'll start with your softball team. Just what did you see from them this weekend, and do you really think that the Crimson Tide has turned things around?
Yeah, I think it's only fair, Joey, that me and you give both these teams their props after we've maybe been a little hard on them. Softball this past weekend finally got the sweep that they've been looking for. Now, look, Mississippi State is not the best opponent in the SEC, but they've also been playing some of the other bottom teams in the league and haven't been able to get it done. And so, like you said, it was on the road as well. And I think the big key for the team this weekend was, the 2 weekends before they won the first 2 games of the series, but Montana had been the starter in both those games. This past weekend, Montana started the first and third game, and they were able to win that second game with Alex Salter as the starter, and she didn't give up any runs. And then Montana was able to close out the weekend with a win, a 1-0 win. It was a really obviously low-scoring game. But I think this upcoming week, because they have 2 games in West Virginia at Marshall against Marshall and Liberty on Tuesday, and then at Auburn or against Auburn at home this upcoming weekend will really tell me if they've turned it around or not. But I did see really encouraging signs from this team. Montana continued to be dominant. She even though, which I said in my story after the game, that she didn't have her A game, and then I went back and looked at the press release, and Patrick Murphy called it her C game. So not even a B game, her C game, and yet she's still able to shut out a team on the road. And then you got a good start from Alex Salter behind her. And then we saw some good things from the offense in the first 2 games. Patrick Murphy went with a new lineup all weekend. He started with a new one on Friday, a new leadoff hitter, and he used that same lineup all weekend, and it was pretty successful. So I think he may have finally found the right combination of that. And I think that is going to be the key for this team moving forward, is will they be able to have offensive production? Because we've seen good things from the pitching circle. We're seeing Montana pitch some of the best softball of her career. And I think she'll be able to kind of keep that up. Will the offense be able to keep it up? But Joey, like you said, baseball got this series, went over Auburn after dropping the first game, and it was an ugly game for Alabama. So what did you see from baseball? And is this something that do you think that they were able to turn things around for the rest of their season?
Well, definitely gives them hope. I mean, that's definitely the case. You know, they started out the season tied with Auburn in the standings, and of course they dropped a game below them, but then got those 2 series clinching wins to go ahead of them in the standings, which is really important in what has become pretty much a tight SEC West race, like from pretty much 4th place down. So if they're wanting to make it to Hoover this year, they're definitely going to have to pick up wins like they did this weekend, and they were able to do that. Fortunately, I was very encouraged by what I saw. I particularly on the mound, they did struggle, in that first game with Luke Holman on the mound starting. He gave up 4 hits and 4 runs in his time on the mound. But then we saw Garrett McMillan come out in his first weekend start. Second, sorry, I guess that's technically his second weekend start, first Saturday start of this season. Really like what we saw from him, in 5 innings pitched, he only gave up 1 hit, no runs. Alton Davis was also crucial coming out to close the game and keep the Tigers from potentially coming back. Alton Davis was also crucial getting a save on Sunday as well. And then Jacob McNary and Riley Quick really splitting the game, 3.2 innings for each of them, only giving up between them 6 hits and 1 run. So you really like the pitching and how it's come about this past week. If they can keep that momentum, that's really going to help. I'm also hearing some rumors that potentially there's a couple of pitchers that Alabama's had missing from injury that will be coming back hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and that will really add depth to a position to the mound, which they've really had some issues with pretty much since before the season started with McMillan's injury. So the offense, like softball, still needs some help. They do still need to increase their run production. They're about to have a really, really tough final stretch of the season in which offense is going to be key. Even if your pitching is doing really well, as we've seen with Alabama softball, it doesn't really matter if you can't score more than 1 or 2 runs a game. So they close out the season. They have a really crucial series at Missouri this weekend, which is huge for them. It's pretty much one of the last series one of the last SEC series where they really, really have a legitimate shot of taking it. But then they have to play at LSU, host Vanderbilt, at Texas A&M, and host Ole Miss, which is just a brutal gauntlet of 4 weekends. But if this team continues to improve like we saw this past weekend, they really can do it. So as you said at the top of this segment, we've been hard on these two teams over the past few weeks, but really there's a glimmer of hope for both of them, and they both did really well against Mississippi State and against Auburn. For BamaCentral.com, I'm Joey Blackwell here with Katie Windham. This has been Just a Minute. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys again later this week.